Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. It's Tuesday. That means we've got 2 more questions and 2 more answers. We're going to get to those questions in just a sec. But first, a reminder, Rob, of how people can send in questions of their own.
You just go to one place, propertyhub.net/ask. That's propertyhub.net/ask. There, you can directly leave a message or leave a voicemail there. Or you can even get your question over to us that we may answer in the Sunday Times, because we also answer property questions every Sunday in the Sunday Times.
Okay, let's listen to our first question. This is from Jackie.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's Jackie here. Thank you so much for all the invaluable content in your podcasts. I love listening to all the information, and it's been of great use to me. My question is, I have tenants who agreed to a 1-year AST ending on the 6th of March this year. However, on the 19th of December, they gave me 1 month's notice as they wanted to move out of the apartment. Are they obliged to pay the full 12 months rental? They pay monthly. Are they obliged to pay up until the 6th of March when the tenancy agreement ends? Or do they only pay until the day that they move out of the apartment, which they have given me 1 month's notice for? I appreciate your response, and I look forward to listening to many future podcasts. Thank you very much.
Jackie, thank you for your question. The answer is simple in a way and not so simple in another. So the simple answer is they need to pay up to the end of the term. So if they agreed to a year up until the 6th of March, they need to be paying you up until the 6th of March. In the absence of a break clause or anything like that, it's that simple. So they're effectively going to leave about a month and a half early. So they should be paying you for that. The problem, of course, is how are you going to get them to pay you for that? If there's rent that's unpaid, then you can take that from the deposit, but that won't cover you for all of it because the maximum deposit you would have taken would be 5 weeks. And of course, if there's any damage, then that'll need to be taken off it as well. So if you've got funds to recover beyond that, then you would have to put in a money claim against them and try to get that enforced through the courts. There's always a toss-up about whether it's worth going through all that for the amount of money involved and not knowing what the chances of success will be. But in this case, you are relatively lucky, although it might not feel like it, in that the gap isn't massive, so you're not going to be hugely out of pocket. But other than that, you have got 2 options here. The first option, of course, is the tenants do actually pay you. It could just be a misunderstanding. They didn't realise what they'd committed to, and once you explain, they decide to either stay put a bit longer, or if they've got the means, maybe they pay rent on your place and their new place at the same time. The other option is that if they do move out, you can then remarket the property and get new tenants in. If you do that, though, be aware that what you can't do is have new tenants move in and pursue the tenants for rent that they should have paid you at the same time. Because if that succeeds, then you end up collecting rent from 2 people for the same period, which you can't do. So what you need to do here is make a decision. Either you're holding your original tenants to the full contract and you're going to pursue them if necessary for what they owe you, or you're choosing to release them for their tenancy early and then attempt to relet. So now, Jackie, you understand why I said what I did at the start. The factual part is simple, but when it comes to what you do about it, you've got options. So I hope that helps and you get a good outcome.
Good luck. Right, next up, we've got a question in from John. Let's have a listen.
Hi, Rob and Rob. This is John from Ireland, long-time listener to the show. Must be over 10 years now, actually. Nearly as long as you guys are broadcasting. I have a question re a property that we're currently renovating for the purposes of selling. It's small. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath mid-terrace. It's in a well-heeled area, we'll say that. And we've completely renovated it, new floors, kitchen, bathroom, etc. Completely transformed the property. My question is it worth staging it? Would that potentially get me another bid? For context, it'll cost about $5,000 to do approximately. And obviously we could take the furniture out afterwards, so maybe the net cost would be $2,000. Is that a good investment? Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
John, thanks for those years you put into the pod. It's much appreciated. We appreciate all our listeners, but especially our long-term ones. Right, let's repay that loyalty with an answer. I'd actually say, John, in this case, it could be worthwhile. Now, I say could and not definitely for the following reasons. One, it wouldn't work for every property type, but the fact that you've said it's a well-off area suggests that the property prices in this area will be high enough that it makes it worthwhile. So if this was a property sub 100 grand, for example, it would not be worth going through the process because the amount of uplift potential you've got here would be minimal. But if it's a reasonable capital value, then if you can do it for a net 2k, then it could absolutely be worthwhile. The reason I keep saying could is because I've seen homes staged very well and I've seen them not staged well. And you'd think that, well, it doesn't really matter, it won't really detract. But actually, a home that's not staged well, I actually feel detracts from a property. And it comes down to the taste and the talent of the person dressing the property. It's not furnishing it, it's dressing it. It's how it's dressed, it's how it looks, it's how it makes you feel once it's done. There's a reason why new build developers have show homes, because the strategy you're talking about absolutely works. But I've seen it fall flat on its face as well. I've seen some terribly dressed properties that I've walked in and gone, oof, who's designed this? And I always ask, who's designed this? Because I think it's always interesting to hear who's worked on a property. And the answer always is a interior designer. So people who are professionals at this aren't always good. Just because you do something doesn't mean you're good at something. There are plenty of people who do lots of different jobs that aren't good at their jobs, and the same applies for this industry. Now, if you're doing it yourself, which it sounds like you will be, then find a friend or a colleague who's very, very honest. Find somebody who you know is always direct and will always give their honest opinion. And once you've done it, get them to critique what you've done. And if this critical thinking person still likes or loves what you've done, then you're probably on the right track and you can replicate this over and over again. So in theory, yes, good idea if it's well executed. Hopefully, John, that gives you the confidence to move forward or not based on what I've said. But I like your thinking. Not many people will do what you're doing. And if you get it right, I think it can absolutely pay off and get a multiple return on the amount that you will invest.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode of the Property Podcast. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.